USA 1000 presents the Fabulous 50 first-run half-hour pre-packaged specials. Here are the opening sequences of 10 of these weekly specials, starting with our salute to the opening of the baseball season. Baseball is back. Out of the dugout comes a tall right-hander from Texas. He greets the rest of his team and 50 million fans thrilled to the new season. Baseball is back, and the opening day pitcher is the President of the United States. A burly catcher named William Howard Taft started the tradition back in 1910. He was good enough as a youth to get an offer from the Cincinnati Red Stockings, but Papa Taft said no, so William became president instead. A lean Virginian named Woodrow Wilson carried on the tradition. Then Warren Harding from Ohio with a friend, Babe Ruth. From Plymouth, Vermont, fast bowler Calvin Coolidge. West Branch, Iowa sent Herbert Hoover to the big leagues. Franklin Roosevelt from Hyde Park, New York, became quite a veteran at this sort of thing. Independence, Missouri gave us independent Harry Truman. From Denison, Texas, Dwight Eisenhower, a strong right-hander. John Kennedy of Brookline, Massachusetts, had the ability and enthusiasm to light up the whole ballpark. The President, with baseball in hand, is a sure sign of spring. The April cry of "play ball" signals the end of a 6-month hibernation for the baseball buff. Booming bats once again release a thunderous roar. The race for base is on. 1,000 kids tell their school teachers that 1,000 mythical grandmas have suddenly passed on. The American ballpark becomes a theater in the round, a circus of thrills, chills, and occasional laughter. The action is just around the corner. 6 joyous months of pennant race, all-star game, and World Series. Forget the spring cleaning. Chores will wait till fall. Hold on to your hat, 'cause baseball is back. As we've already told you, these are pre-packaged specials custom built for individual station programming. These specials come to you with full music and effects and the voices of the people in the news on one reel of film, along with a fully timed and cued script. You add only the voice of your own announcer. All production credits are yours, giving you strong, exclusive local promotion and sales ability. These specials come to you ready to rack up and run. There are 10 sports specials, 4 for football, 1 each for the Kentucky Derby, the Olympics, and miracle moments in sports, and 3 for baseball, the season opener, which you just saw, the World Series, And a salute to the All-Star Game, from Babe Ruth to Willie Mays. Get the mint julep glasses ready. We're off to Louisville with a salute to the Kentucky Derby, the Run for the Roses. They're off at Churchill Downs. This is the Kentucky Derby, the oldest U.S. horse race in continuous existence. Since 1875, the great names in racing have come from this event. On the first Saturday of May, 100,000 fans put down their julep glasses, pick up their binoculars, and they're off. All 100,000 of them, and all of us as well. This is the 1964 race, a classic duel between Hill Rise and Northern Dancer. At this point, they're both laying back some 5 lengths behind the leaders. The strategy of men is as much a part of the Derby as the strength and speed of a horse. Men like Willie Shoemaker on Hill Rise and his trainer, Bill Finnegan. Willie Hardtack on Northern Dancer and Horatio Luro. Their moment of truth is close at hand. As they turn for home, Willie Hardtack pushes Northern Dancer to the front. They will not be caught by the desperate challenge of Hill Rise and Shoemaker. Hardtack wins the Derby for the 4th time in 6 attempts, an unparalleled performance, and none of his winners have been favorites. The electric excitement that finds its way from Louisville to the 4 corners of the earth is incomparable. It has been so since 1875, and it gets better every year. This is our story, the story of the Run for the Roses. Now let's turn to football. Here's an annual highlight, Army versus Navy. Football's friendly enemies. All the other games are just a warm-up for this one. 2 squads of proud young men face each other at peak conditions after months of preliminary training and battle. Millions of fans across the nation and scattered around the world join in spirit as the strains of Anchors Away mix with On Brave Old Army Team to signal the greatest of traditional gridiron clashes. This is the climax of the football season, the Army-Navy game. And the story of this game is the story of football itself. An old-timer once put it like this: "It's not just a football game," he said, "it's a way of life." It's been a way of life through 7 superlative decades. But in the beginning, it was mostly a frenzied scramble. Then came the fake kick and end-around play as strategy found its way to the gridiron. The forward pass was a way of getting there faster through the air, something football players learned just about the same time as the military did. The drop kick plays an important part in our story, and so does the fumble or broken play, which makes up an excitement, whatever it lacks in finesse, and always seems to set up the magic moment to follow. The beauty of the perfect play, the heroics of a light horse Harry Wilson, a Blanchard, Davis, Bellino, or Staubach, the incredible climax, the unforgettable moment. Prepare yourself for all these on Army versus Navy, football's friendly enemies. There are other football specials for the opening of the college season and for the bowl games, and one for professional football. 40 years of pro action, from Grange to greatness. This is professional football, the big game with the big names of the swingin' 60s. Jimmy Brown was Fred Astaire with 100 extra pounds of dynamite. His dancing feet waltzed through danger and made him a football immortal. Lance Allworth. His teammates call him Bambi for his deer-like speed and grace as he outruns the hunter to capture a touchdown pass. Johnny Unitas says the difference between a great passer and just a passer is about a second. The second it takes to get a pass off and not hurry it. Johnny Unitas is the greatest. John Hadle and Keith Lincoln, salt and pepper. Hadle fakes and Lincoln runs. A play seasoned to perfection. Jim Taylor. His smile shields brute force, impossible to contain even after Jim scores his touchdown. Jackie Kemp, past master at sewing up a ball game by threading the needle with a perfect pass. Fran Tarkenton, typical of the college grad in the professional game today. He dazzles a nationwide audience for 5 months of each year and spends the other 7 using his immense popularity to build a business or professional career. The game today is a Sunday tradition for 200 million Americans. A tradition that began, however, because the early pros had to play on Sunday. On Saturday, they were playing for their college teams, using their real names. It began but 40 years ago. 40 years of Red Grange and Bronco Nagurski, Sammy Baugh and Jimmy Brown. 40 years of unforgettable action, from Grange to greatness. We told you earlier of the strong sales acceptance these specials have had in our many markets, particularly with banks. The American Savings and Loan Company on KHON in Honolulu, a 52-week buy. The Rhode Island Hospital Trust Company on WTEV Providence, saluting its 100th anniversary. Others in Johnstown, Denver, Baltimore, Flint, and many more. One of the most popular packages within the package is the It Happened In series, one for each month of the year, highlighting the major events of each month of the year. This one takes us back to November 1948. It happened in November.
We now know that Governor Dewey will carry New York State by at least 50,000 votes and that he will be the next president of the United States.
On election night, November 2nd, 1948, Republican campaign leader Herbert Brownell, along with a legion of broadcasters and correspondents, were certain that Thomas E. Dewey was the new president of the United States. Top political reporters in the nation declared the election a Dewey landslide. But Mr. Truman had the last laugh. And one reporter, H.V. Kaltenborn, was forced to eat his words when President Truman dished it out to all the so-called experts.
Well, about 12 o'clock, I happened to wake up for some reason, and the radio was turned on the National Broadcasting Company. And Mr. Kaltenborn was saying, while the president is 1 million votes ahead in the popular vote, we have yet to hear from him. And we are very sure that when the country vote comes in, Mr. Truman will be defeated by an overwhelming majority.
The all-time upset of our political history. And it happened in November. In a historical mood, here's the opening for a special which reviews 4 of the most famous courtroom scenes of the past century. The exploding courtroom. Tonight, we take our cameras into 4 courtrooms. The first in Flemington, New Jersey, the center of the world in 1934. This is Bruno Richard Hauptmann. charged with the crime of the century, the kidnapping and murder of the Lindbergh baby. A decade later, Alger Hiss and Whittaker Chambers. Their conflicting stories before the Congress of the United States became a real-life drama of treason in high places, almost beyond belief. General Billy Mitchell, the man who saw into the future and refused to be silenced. His 1925 court-martial was reversed by history. Finally, the little town of Dayton, Tennessee, where the earth shook as science clashed with the Bible. The mighty forces led by Clarence Darrow and William Jennings Bryan erupted beyond the hills of Tennessee to demand the attention of all reasoning men. Tonight, these four landmarks from the exploding courtroom. Here's the way the race for space really began. A light-hearted opening to an exciting, entertaining saga of the skies. Remember the airplane. This is Countdown 1905. The craft is checked out, the great moment close at hand. Man will thrust away from Mother Earth. For the birdman, food and a fond farewell. For it is ever so that maids must wait and youth must go to meet high destiny. T-minus 30 and counting. Security is tight. You can't be sure of what's behind those beards. The nation's best minds are here for a last-minute briefing of the command pilot. Costly and complex instruments of a new age are constantly at work to bring them the most up-to-date information. Nothing can stop the mission now. The struggle and failure and triumph of man and his flying machine live again as we remember the airplane. Next, a story to be told through the ages. A dramatic moment that helped shape the course of history back in 1944. Our special on D-Day titled Turning Point. Germany in the 1930s. A nation which believes Adolf Hitler when he screams, "The land exists for the people with the force to take it." Hitler says Germany must expand. The German people need Lebensraum, living space, and this is impossible without the sword. Secretly, unlawfully, a great military force is constructed within the walls of the Third Reich. Germany is viewed with alarm and with uncertainty. But there is nothing uncertain about Hitler's claim that the Third Reich will endure for 1,000 years. The old ideas are burned. There is only room for one point of view in Germany, the Nazis. Hitler is playing a pat hand. The chips fall where they may. Austria, Czechoslovakia, Poland, Denmark, Norway, Holland, Belgium, Luxembourg. The German people are told mankind has grown great in eternal struggle, and only in eternal peace does it perish. Even the Führer is surprised at the ease with which his blitzkrieg, his lightning war, lays waste the continent of Europe. With the fall of France in 1940, the claim to a 1,000-year Nazi reign can no longer be dismissed as the dream of a psychopathic personality. The question becomes not when Germany will stop, but where. Hitler has avenged the defeat of the First World War, and it seems he has won the Second. His path of victory runs smooth and straight. Where is the turning point? It is slow in coming. It requires an unparalleled act of endurance by the British people, an unqualified alliance between the United Kingdom and the United States. But it does come, with men like Dwight Eisenhower and Jimmy Doolittle leading the way. The counter-thrust, the raid on Hitler's Europe, will be 4 months in the making. D-Day begins in February 1944. The farmer from Kentucky joins the farmer from Kent. Massachusetts is no longer an ocean apart from Middlesex. The roots of Hitler's downfall lie deep in the American-British heritage, which respects the right of all people to choose the form of government under which they will live. In this grand alliance, all free men join in the common struggle against the savage and brutal forces seeking to subjugate the world. This is the emotional and strategic climax of World War II, the turning point, and it is a story to be told through the ages. Now, a light-hearted moment from history as it happened. It happened in May 1945. Our new First Lady, Bess Truman, was invited to christen a hospital transport plane. You have just seen excerpts from some of the 50 first-run half-hour specials, part of the continuing impact programming service of USA 1000.